Academics at Auckland University Public Policy Institute, PPI, have run their eyes over the debate and given their verdict on fact-checking leaders' claims in the first debate put to the test. They found that Hipkins was right to say inflation is coming down, but partly wrong to claim national tax cuts would worsen inflation. Meanwhile, Luxon was incorrect to claim National invented the phrase "by Māori for Māori," but on the mark in saying retail crime had doubled in the last 2 years. The PPI found Luxon to be the main offender of making false claims in the debate. See the full rundown. So let's have a look. So here's some of the true statements. Hipkins, it was true to say inflation was coming down. It was true for him to say that more than 50,000 gang members have been charged under Operation Cobalt. And it was true for him to say 80% of boot camp kids re-offend. Luxon was true when he said rents are up by $180 a week, that retail crime has doubled in the last 2 years, and no mobile dental clinics have been delivered. So mostly true statements. So you'd call these true then, wouldn't you? Mostly true basically means, you might have you might be off by 5% in your numbers, but it's mostly true.
Yeah. In the moment, you can forgive this stuff.
Hipkins, 3/4 of young offenders in the circuit breaker program have not reoffended. I wish they'd given what the fully true response would be. Like, is it that it's 2/3? Like, what is the true? Hipkins also was mostly true when he said the minimum wage is increased by $6.95. Oh, that's because he said $7. I remember he said $7. So minimum wage increased $6.95 per hour under Labor. So this must be the actual correct information here then. Maybe he said 80% or something, because he did say it was $7, I recall that. An extra 1,800 police officers, I nearly said offenders, have been added. Luxon's mostly true, where Labor gave $2.7 million for meth rehab. Oh, I've lost Chewy. Luxon's mostly true, there's a deficit of 1,700 doctors and 4,800 nurses. Mostly true, the current government aims to reduce prison population by 30%. They're mostly true by Luxon. Half-truths, welcome back, Chewy, didn't miss you at all. Half-truths, national tax cuts would make inflation worse, and the clarification is that depends on government spending. Half-truth was, that was by Hipkins. A half-truth by Luxon, Gumboot Friday has delivered 100,000 counselling sessions. Just 28,000 were funded, so that's a half-truth. And that ram raids happen twice a day. It's not an official crime, so it's hard to quantify is the thing. That's actually pretty big, that statement. So there was 2 half-truths to Luxon and 1 to Hipkins. Yeah, mostly untrue. There's only 1, and it goes to Luxon. Foreign home buyers would bring in $750 million. In reality, it's estimated to be around $210 million. And completely false statements. Luxon. No fruit and veg GST savings will be passed on to customers. Labor didn't implement the Circuit Breaker initiative, and National supports school lunches for all. They support the current policy, targeted lunches, pending a review of costs. Australia's 5 lies. They're all Luxon. 5. Not 3, I did that before. National invented the by Māori for Māori, and that every single health outcome has gone backwards under Labor. We know that's not true. Most health outcomes, e.g. general mortality, cancer, maternal health, have remained the same or improved. So that's a pretty big pork pie. When he says every single outcome's gone backwards and most outcomes have either remained the same or improved, that's probably the biggest whopper of them all. However, one more thing. What we didn't find, and we didn't see in that list, and I don't know why, maybe because it was a bit of a News Hub exclusive, was there seems to be, I don't know whether it would be a mostly true or a mostly untrue by Christopher Hipkins today.
Chris Hipkins has been forced into an embarrassing correction over a claim he made in a leaders' debate last night. Political editor Jenna Lynch joins us now. Kia ora, Jenna. What's he got wrong?
Chris Hipkins made the bold claim that he had personally banned fizzy drinks in all primary schools. Whoops-a-daisy, fact check. No, he did not. News Hub checked with the Ministry of Education. There is no nationwide ban on fizzy drinks in primary schools. Here's what he said in the debate and the quick back down once News Hub started asking questions this afternoon.
Playing this for a real good reason.
I've banned fizzy drinks in primary schools already, and I think that they should be banned in secondary schools as well, and we will do that if re-elected.
I was alerted by my office earlier, well, just now actually, that I made a mistake in last night's TV debate. I made a mistake, I got it wrong. The Labor Party's policy for this election is to ban sugary drinks in schools.
So, here's the main reason I wanted to play that. He got something wrong, and he admitted it today, and backed down. Luxon, you got several things wrong, badly wrong, including probably the worst of all, which he's going on and on and on and on and on about, that every single health outcome has gone backwards under Labor. And I think it would be appropriate for you to now retract and apologise. Because people are criticising Chippy today about him getting something wrong in the election, in the debate, sorry. He got it wrong and he's retracted and apologised. Now, the floor is yours, Mr. Luxon. What are your thoughts, Joey?
I think that floor will remain empty. Yeah. He's too busy molesting goats and other livestock from the looks of it. Yeah, look, and something that sprung to mind with two policies about bans of stuff in schools, right? One is sugary drinks, one is cell phones. I think the same argument can apply to both, right? The schools could just do it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why, like, yes, it would be a good idea, but is this the role of central government? Can't they just put out an advisory going, we would like it if you did this?
Was
But
really interesting
you
in the
run your
debate
schools.
when they when Luxon started talking about by Māori for Māori and to have some kind of health authority, but he started talking about it being localized. And I went, this sounds like a Republican talking about sending it back to the states. No federal, back to the states. And it just made me think for the first time, I wonder if this is his North American, because he lived in North America for a while, I wonder if it's his North American kind of bias, and that's the word I'm using to say he operates that way maybe, because he kept talking about like the Māori Health Authority has to go, but he wants it to be by Māori for Māori, and he wants it to be localised. And I'm like, hang on. As we've said here before, and as Hipkins said last night, one of the Chris's, that the Māori Health Authority is by Māori for Māori, so why are you getting rid of it? And it was like he was saying centralised is bad, localised is good, which is exactly the same as the American Republicans who always talk about, federal is bad, send it to the states is good. And I'm like, that's a different vibe from a leader of the conservative part of New Zealand politics a little bit. Like, in other words, Dunedin City Council, if you want to start up and run a Māori Health Authority for Māori, that's fine, but coming out of Wellington, can't be done. It's an interesting kind of perspective to keep an eye on.
I mean, he used a really specific term, which was devolution.
Yep.
And the times that I've seen that reference, it's mainly in the UK, as far as like letting Scotland have its own parliament or Ireland make its own decisions away from English government. So, I mean, it was it tweaked my ears a little bit to hear him say that in the context of New Zealand government. I mean, I would certainly say if you're going to talk about some sort of, well, I mean, we've always had a Westminster style government, right? We can't devolve to anything previous to that. But, I would say you could apply it to say, hey, look, maybe Māori could make more decisions about stuff that concerns them. But that's clearly not what he means.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we come back, like when we're talking about the Māori Health Authority, I just want to hammer the point that Hipkins and Luxon seemed to be agreeing over the same thing, that we think it's a good idea that Māori have more say in their medical stuff. But the difference was Luxon was saying that it was a whole separate standalone system with a copy-paste whole health structure, rather than it being an offshoot of the current stuff where you're not replicating it. And it's very clear that is a lie, and he should know that, and that it is more about the fact of pandering to your base that do not like the idea of Māori having special privileges.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I actually think, and we've been saying this for a long time here, the idea about, I think it's a really harmful and dangerous lie he's been saying about all the health outcomes going backwards. Because like there's this theory of the black swan, right? And if people out there are watching like Planet Walk who love to fight off with the flat earthers, you'll know that the flat earthers use this theory called the black swan theory, which basically says if I can disprove the statement all swans are white by showing you one black swan. Right? In other words, if he says all health outcomes have gone backwards, you only need one piece of evidence to say contrary. And I used to just constantly saying, we've said it here lots, one of the few countries in the world, I think only 2 or 3 of us during COVID, to have our life expectancy go up. That's a health outcome. That's an improvement. Your statement is false. But even better, the TVNZ researchers there from Auckland University saying most health outcomes have either stayed the same or improved. So that's a huge one, because that's like the foundation of all the bullshit around COVID. That's like the foundation of all the bullshit around centralizing DHBs. He said it in that debate. You know, they centralized DHBs and they've come up with worse health outcomes. Every health outcome. So he's actually using that as a foundational argument to try and say all that is bad. And the foundational argument is a lie. It's not true. But I haven't heard anyone in any context, interview, a debate, say that's not true, Mr. Luxon, when he rolls it out as part of his narrative. I've heard no one say it.
Yeah, there's some concerning gaps in what we're being told by one of the, whoever's going to be the future prime minister. And again, I'm going to bang this drum again. If you are on the right, you need to be angry about this as well. I don't care if they are saying something that you personally agree with. You need to be objective, and you need to look at this and go, is this the best team? Are they doing their best job? And I would say, like we have been saying for our team, no, they are not.
Pull your fucking socks up.
They are not doing their best job.
I would even say the only thing you need to be is honest. Like, that's all I'd say. Just be honest. Like, when we tell you some information, or when we give you some information, or when we show you that water is wet, stop trying to say water is dry. You know, when we give you a result that disproves the idea that every health outcome is going backwards, then stop saying it. Stop repeating it. Just be honest. That's all. Shit, we've said a lot of negative things about the left on this show, and if the right turns out to be correct, we say it. I mean, just be honest. That's it. Be honest and be truthful. Be an honest actor, or else you're just a troll, and that doesn't help anybody. Might help you be entertained, but it doesn't help further the narrative. And I've always said this. Like, I've got friends, and everyone knows this. I've got lots of religious friends, right? And quite often the religious community will send around memes, like any kind of cult community will, like an anti-vaxxer. And I always look at them and research them. And I had one day where someone sent out this story about how Hamas was marrying children. And they had this video, and this video was these men walking up the aisle with little girls in wedding dresses. And my friends were sending it around, all pro-Israel friends were sending it around going, oh, look, see what it is. And it took me 2 minutes to look on the internet and find out that in that culture, the flower girls wear the same dresses as the brides. That's what they do. The flower girls wear like a mini-me version of exactly the same dress the bride is wearing. And that's the argument. And I said to all my friends, all my colleagues who I love to bits, if you've got a good argument for your belief, in that instance it was a belief, you don't need to lie. If you've got a good argument, you don't need bullshit. If your argument is strong, stick by your truthful and honest, strong argument. You do not need to lie, to exaggerate, to make false statements to further your story if it's strong enough to stand on its own 2 feet. I feel exactly the same about politics.
Yeah.
Sorry for the rant.
Absolutely. No, that's a good rant. I know rants, man.
Top three rants. That was the top 3 rant from this night.